Good morning, everyone. Wanted to start a new format today, something a little bit different. We're going to try it out. Hopefully you like it. This morning, we're going to talk about the economy and how it should, in my opinion, be at the top of your threat board. Everybody's talking about Ukraine and war and the nuclear weapons and all these different little things, and that's fine. But you know what? Right now, that's not going to change the price of gas. That's not going to change the price of eggs. That's not going to change a lot of things. And here's why. Ingredients are becoming extremely expensive. And it sounds simple, but it's not. It's not. Because if you go through the list of different things, everything is interconnected. And we're not talking about tinfoil hat connected. We're talking about common sense connected. Do we have the manpower to harvest whatever it is? Did the harvest go well? Do we have the manpower or equipment to move something from point A to point B, to process it? Do we have those things that we need to be processed and eventually turned into products, either food, industrial, chemical, whatever it may be? It all ends up on a shelf someplace or in a warehouse someplace that has to get to your home in some way, shape, or form. So if we just go over the very, very basic stuff, among the ingredients in short supply are like MSG, preservatives, artificial sweeteners, starches and gums, soluble fibers, as well as fats and specifically oils. Oils is a very serious problem right now. Now you have to ask yourself, what if we do this backwards? If we do like the reverse osmosis, what foods are in shortage right now? Canned foods, pet foods, beer may be in short supply due to a widespread aluminum shortage. Lettuce crops and orange groves were affected by plant viruses this year and last year. One major producer of lettuce lost 80% of their crop last year. Now, why are there ingredient shortages? It's normally because of, I hate to say this, it's two major issues. It's labor shortages, which apparently we're doing great on jobs. Our job numbers are up. We all know that's a bunch of bull, and we'll talk about that briefly because that's directly associated to the food shortages slash labor shortages slash ingredient shortages. They're all connected. Labor shortages and supply chain issues from food manufacturers in grocery stores. There simply aren't enough people to make the goods, move the goods, and sell the goods. And unfortunately, this is true. Everybody doesn't want to work anymore. And that means this type of labor, okay, not service, but labor is in demand. Labor is not working at McDonald's. Labor is not driving an Uber. Labor is your time that you're giving to somebody. Not because you have a skill set, but because you have a human body that can pick plants, water things. Yeah, those lift things, move things. That's what labor is. Now, some things that are going to be in short supply at some point are going to be butter, oranges, corn, flour, champagne, beer, and believe it or not, eggs. We're seeing the restocking of eggs, but at some point that will change. And the reason is because it always changes. It actually gets worse during the winter. If you guys know anything about that, the chickens, then you'll know what I'm talking about. So what we need to stay focused on is how do we move these things around. But before we do that, I want to talk to you very briefly about the recession, the incoming recession. Now, people are like, oh, there's no recession, the economy's great. Listen, if you believe that, okay, okay. But when it comes, please don't show up anybody's doorstep asking for a cup of sugar, because sugar will be worth, it will be the value of gold. Yeah. So one of our illustrious leaders by the last name of Yellen says that recession is not completely off the table, but the economy is strong. The economy is not strong, not in any way, shape, or form. So from this article right here, quote, a recession is not completely off the table even as the U.S. economy remains strong, Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen said. And in an interview on Sunday on CBS, after the June jobs report released early this week showed the U.S. economy adding fewer jobs than in previous months, a trend Yellen described as normal after years of rapid growth. Years of rapid growth. What is this rapid growth that she speaks of? It's interesting. It's like words mean things, but they mean them something different to the people who want them to say something that is disagreeable, that is untrue. How is it possible that El Presidente and his regime have made so many more jobs than anybody else ever, but nobody's working? And how is it possible that all these jobs are the kind of jobs that nobody wants to do, or that pay so little money that you actually have to have sometimes 2 or 3 jobs just to maintain your standard of living? I'm not sure how that's even possible, guys. I'm really not sure. But I can tell you there's some smart people out there that are actually inside the Patreon that are saying things that are incredibly intelligent, and I want to share one with you. And I want to share that with you because it's incredibly insightful, and I want you guys to know. Now, I'm not going to say his name because I don't want his head to get too big. I know you watch my videos, mister. But I'm going to read this to you right here. He says, I will call this an economy-focused prep. The food being so darn with food being, sorry, the text is really small. With food being so darn expensive, I took time yesterday to look at my food stores as they stand. It's basically he was taking stock. I've stacked 5 emergency food buckets in the last month. So I wanted to get some items out of the freezer since they would go bad should the power go out. Makes sense. That turned into more of an ordeal, as some of you can probably relate. And I ended up planning the next 3 weeks of dinners plus anticipated leftovers for lunch meals. 3 weeks of entrees, starches, vegetables, and put them on the calendar on my phone. I also put reminders in if a meat needs pulled out to defrost, needs to hit a marinade or be pre-seasoned, etc. I ended up spending maybe an hour. But man, now I don't have to repeat using the same brain cells over and over for 3 weeks. And I will see the reliance on electricity deteriorate so it can be better aimed at other needs if the power goes out. Now, I was reading his actual text, and I did ad-lib a little bit there just to make sure that it was more understandable. But basically what this smart gentleman is doing is he is prepping his food stores, and he is making it so that he's less reliant on electricity. Incredibly intelligent, incredibly smart, incredibly fine-tuned, and I think you should all be doing things very similarly. Now, is it for everybody? No, because that's a pretty meticulous level of detail. But in the end, he will know exactly what he has and what to do with it. No questions asked. There would be no thinking about doing anything if he needed to use those preps. And obviously, it sounds like he's working towards a pantry, the kind of rotating pantry idea where he actually is knowing every single meal. So, and that's pretty good for 3 weeks. Okay, so overall, what should we take from this video? I would hope that you would take the idea that you must continue to put food aside, to buy a can or 2 extra every time you go to the store, to build that prepper's pantry so that you will be resilient and ungovernable, and so that you can wait out the masses when things go bad. Now, there will be those that say, well, you should be home. Well, not everybody can homestead, and not everybody has room to put a bull or a pig or even ducks. Some people can't live like that. So please just like the video instead of saying ridiculous comments. I think that you should all be very focused, maybe even hyper-focused on the economy, and be less focused on the things that are going on in the world, because preparing for the economy to be extremely bad is directly akin to preparing for the end of the world, because if the U.S. economy, which is still considered the largest economy on the planet, India's moving up on us pretty quickly, if it were to go bad, I won't say crash, I won't say fall, I won't say any of those terms that everybody loves to regurgitate. What I would say is that if it gets worse, if eggs go to $10 a dozen, if you can't buy flour because the wheat shortage is actually very real and going to be the source of another video. But talking about wheat right now, people don't understand what's actually happened and how it will affect us in the very near future. I think that's going to be about it for this video. Thank you for watching if you got this far. As usual, you know the deal. Find the links, support the channel, like, subscribe, follow, all that good stuff. And as usual, stay safe, have a great day, and I'll see you when I see you. Bye-bye.